Hey, I'm Lindsay Lyman. I worked almost 12 years at Amazon and saw so many brilliant and successful overachievers burn themselves out and leave their jobs because they're so stressed and anxious. But guess what? Having a successful career does not have to be at the expense of your mental sanity and personal time. There's an easier way, and I can show you how. Let's do this. All right, y'all, today is part 4, the final part in our How to Be Okay When You're Not Okay series. Quick recap, go listen to the previous 3 episodes if you haven't, but the 3 steps before we get to this final one and how you be okay when you're not okay. The first one is you got to notice. What are you feeling? Where do you feel it? You got to breathe into it. You got to let it be. What are the signs that you're starting to not be okay and dysregulate? Noticing, step number 1. Number 2, you want to normalize it. This is where we're going to remove the judgment we have about it. Why is it totally normal that you feel this way? Like, why does it make perfect sense that this is how you're responding? Okay. So we want to notice, we want to normalize. Last week we talked about step 3, which is neutralizing. What is going on that is true? What are the facts that we are resisting? Getting through step 3 might take some time to get there because you have to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you need to feel as long as you need to feel it and as many times as you need to feel it. I heard this quote the other day. I don't know who it's by, but I was like, ooh, that's good. Where someone basically said, things will change once the pain of being where you are is greater than the pain of getting to where you want to be. So I kind of think of that in terms of this step of like neutralizing for me is when I'm just like, okay, enough. This is terrible. I'm not okay. This thing is not fair. I'm not doing all right. Whatever the thing is, I'm just like, okay, I've come to terms with this is what it is. Enough. We're going to move forward. Okay. So step 4 that we're going to talk about this week is now you want to find a new way of thinking about it. So these are the 4 N's. You notice, you normalize, you neutralize, and you tell a new story. Now hear me out. I'm not saying just be happy, just be okay. That is the opposite of what I'm saying, okay? You don't go from I hate my boss to my boss is amazing. There's a million steps in between those 2 places. I kind of think of it as like if you decide you want to run a marathon. There was a phase in my life where I ran like 6 or 7 half marathons. You don't just get up one day and just decide, I'm going to go run a marathon. Some people do, and they're crazy. And 90% of the time they regret it. And you can even do some like permanent damage to yourself when you push your body physically that hard, that long without being ready and training for it. If you want to go and run a marathon, and you're not really running very often right now, maybe you're going to start by like running and walking. Maybe you're going to work on your technique. Maybe you're going to work on your strength. You're going to work on running longer. You're going to work on running faster. You're going to build up that strength and that endurance, right? There's a million steps in between going from I sit at my desk all day to I'm running a marathon, okay? You don't just go from one to the other overnight. It's the same concept here. You're trying to find a new way of thinking about this situation, a new story you're going to tell yourself. We're not going from my manager's terrible or I'm sitting at my desk all day to my manager's amazing to I'm running a marathon, right? We got to do the in-between work. This is where the new thoughts can help you kind of step your way into where you want to go. Okay, my other heads up, I'm going to tell you when you're trying to find a new way to think about this, this can be really challenging to do for yourself. I have a few coaches that I love and are amazing. This is a lot of what they're helping me do. When you're in it, when it's real, when it's your emotions, when it's your livelihood, when it's your situation on the line, it can be really challenging for your brain to offer up or even entertain new ways of thinking about it. So an external perspective can be extremely helpful in this step, especially. But I want to give you 2 of my best hacks that can help me sometimes get out of it until I'm able to have my coach really work me through it. So when you have a thought that you're feeling stuck on based in the situation you're at, I want you to add either the phrase, and that's okay, to the end of it, or add the word yet. Let me give you a couple examples. I'm going to go through these same examples we've been going through for the last couple weeks, and I'm going to show you how these two phrases, and that's okay, or the phrase yet, may work, and some other laddering thoughts of going from I'm not okay to I'm okay. So let's start with the first example of a reorg. Say you're reorging again, you're not okay with it, you've had some bad experiences with past reorgs, and you've given yourself permission to feel all the feels, do all the things. You've come to terms with, okay, we're going to reorg. If the thought is, all right, we're going to reorg and I hate not knowing how it's going to turn out, let's add the phrase, and that's okay. When you think I hate not knowing how it's going to turn out and that's okay, it's just calmer. It puts you in control. It quiets the panic monkey. And it's not saying we need to be okay, we need to not freak out. It's just saying it's okay. It's okay that we don't like not knowing how this is going to turn out. Or another way to think about this is saying, I don't know who my new manager will be yet. You see how it gives your brain this clause of this isn't this problem we need to spiral on. It's coming. I just need to hold on. I don't know who my new manager is going to be yet. Then some other new ways of thinking about it, laddering you to where you want to be, could be thoughts like, once I know more, I'll figure something out. Or the thought, I don't want to change jobs, but I can if I choose to. Right? Just give your brain permission to keep your options open. We're not trying to trick it and be like, it's going to be fine and wonderful and great. We're like, no, it still could be really hard and challenging, and we can figure it out. It's not an or, it's an and. Let's look at another example. Say your project has been defunded. Okay. Again, you've given yourself permission to feel all the things, to notice it, to normalize it, to neutralize it. If the thought is, this just feels like a waste of time, again, you can add that clause of, and that's okay. You're allowed to have it feel like a waste of time. When we add and that's okay, it's less intense. And then we're not going to go talk crap about it and obsess about it and ruminate it. We're going to be okay and we're going to move forward a lot faster. Here's some other possible ways to think about this situation. Some other new thoughts I'd offer to you to try on. It's things like, when we were doing that project, I was doing my job well. Or thoughts like, this is not about me. Or the thought, I don't know what the next thing will be yet. Or the thought, I want to believe it's okay that we wasted time and it didn't launch, right? You don't believe it yet, but it's just giving yourself a step towards, I want to believe it's okay that we wasted time and it didn't launch. Or the thought, I'm proud of what we accomplished and disappointed it didn't launch. Again, both those things can be true. Let's look at the example of getting some hard feedback. And you're at a place where you're not as highly emotional about it, but we're still not okay yet. The thought is, I'm just not sure if I'm doing better. Again, we can add that clause, yet. I'm not sure if I'm doing better yet. Here's the thing with this one. The phrase, and that's okay, doesn't work for me in this scenario. If I'm not sure if I'm doing better, telling myself, and that's okay, doesn't actually make me feel better. It makes me feel more anxious and worried because I'm like, no, it's not okay. So as you're working on these new thoughts, I always think of them, thoughts are like clothes. Some days they feel better than other days. It's not like a blanket. This is always going to work. You got to check in and make sure this new way of thinking, does it feel more empowering? Does it feel like it's taking you a step closer to where you want to be? If I got hard feedback, telling myself, and that's okay, isn't going to get me there personally. That's why I like to use the phrase yet in this scenario. I'm not sure if I'm doing better yet, because I also love a challenge. I will go out and figure something out. Here's some other new ways to think about it. No news is good news. That means I get to decide for myself. Or being self-conscious means that I care, and I like that about me. Or another new thought is, I like who I'm being through this really hard thing. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of how I'm showing up. Or another thought, it's my job to like me. Getting feedback or knowing other people don't like you or your manager's frustrated with you is such a hard thing. Like, I have an entire course dedicated to this, and I work with clients hours and hours and hours on this. But in essence, when you're struggling with what someone else is thinking of you, this is where the key factor is you want to keep it about you. Keep it what's in your control. You can't control what other people think about you, but you can control what you think about you and who you're being along the way. So another thought I'd offer to you to think about if you got some harsh feedback is, I don't want to be the kind of person who's okay when that's the feedback given, and that's okay, right? It's okay to not be okay. We're just trying to keep ourselves out of these emotional highs and lows of going up and down and just allowing ourselves the calm of the hard that is there. Or let's look at the last example of your manager doesn't show up to your one-on-ones. And the thought you keep having is, it's hard to work with someone who doesn't want to work with you. Again, this is where that phrase yet is really powerful. It's hard to work with someone who doesn't want to work with you yet. Again, I love a challenge. I was like, oh, you just don't know how fun I can make our one-on-ones. Or, oh, you don't know actually how easy it's going to be, right? Or, oh, you don't know how much I can get done when I don't actually need a one-on-one. That word yet feels so much more empowering and encouraging and open that it's going to help you take different actions. If your manager's not showing to your one-on-ones, here's some other possible new ways to think about it. It's things like, I can find help from other people. I don't want someone else to manage me. That is my job. Or the thought, I'm in control of my career no matter who my manager is or what they do or don't do. Again, finding a new way to think about this can be really challenging when you're in the thick of it. Sign up for a coffee chat and I can help you find some new ways of thinking about a situation you are feeling stuck in. This is what I do, and you are worth it. Learning how you be okay when you're not okay will not only help you overcome the challenges you're having right now, but it's going to set you up for any of the other challenges that are coming down your path. Because as you know, there are things tugging and pulling at you that you know you should be doing. Once you feel more empowered, that's when you're going to start doing the things you're feeling pulled to do. You're going to have the hard conversation. You're going to say no. You're going to start looking for the new job. You're going to call out a leader in a tactful way. You're going to set healthy boundaries. You're going to stop working so many hours. You know what to do. That really is not the problem. We just need to get you to a place where you feel safe doing it, where you feel okay not being okay trying to shift and change some things. All right, y'all. You are amazing. You got this. We'll talk soon. If what you're learning from this podcast is helping, this is just the beginning. Each week, I offer a limited number of coffee chats so that you and I can connect one-on-one and talk specifically about what's going on for you. You'll leave this call feeling more hopeful and motivated, but I'm also going to teach you a few things to try right away to get unstuck. Space is very limited and these are free, so grab your spot before they're gone. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat and sign up today. You got this.